Hello everyone. Let me make sure everything is set up properly. Welcome to the live. Thank you for your patience. I am a bit behind. No, I'm right on time. Thank you for your patience. As you know, I am in Thailand. Let me just give you all a moment to come into the room. Yes. Hi, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I can't see the chat this way, can I? Hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. I'm letting more people come into the room. Thank you all for your patience and for being here. You all know I am in Thailand, so the time zone is Indo-China. So it's Monday, I'm in the future. It is Monday morning here, whereas it is Sunday evening for you all, for most of you viewing this. What happened to your product you were selling? Which product? Tell me which product you're referring to. All of my products that are available are still on Etsy. If it's not there, that means it has sold out. As you know, I have shifted from physical products into digital products, resources, courses, and so I have some very exciting announcements and things to get into today. But this video, let me turn the AC off. Hello, hello, welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so this video is all about, well, if you know, you see the title, right? This is about our menstrual cycle and our periods and the divine wisdom, the gifts, and the potency and the power that our cycle possesses if you can tap into it and if you are a clear channel for it. I was inspired on the last full moon. I believe it was a blood full moon. It literally was orange here in Thailand. I was in Bangkok at the time. And I was walking back from the night market and I felt so inspired to just record a quick little video on Instagram on my stories. And I was on, I was menstruating and I felt like I needed to get this message out, which was the reason why painful, difficult periods are normalized. You probably leave something in the chat if you have always felt like pain and suffering and emotional instability and all of these quote unquote negative symptoms are normal. They're typical. It's just something we deal with as women, even as young girls. It's normal. Let me know in the chat if that has been your experience. I freed myself from the suffering of our period every single month. And let's be clear, it is not just a week out of the month, right? It is the week leading up to it. And we'll get into the menstrual phases. I have my notes here. You guys know I always come prepared. So I've got my notes. We'll get into the actual phases of the menstrual cycle, the hormonal imbalances and the changes you experience, and then the connection to your divine wisdom and essentially a portal. That's how I see it. So we'll get into that, and then we will do Q&A towards the end. So save your questions for the end. Write them down. If anything comes up, write them down, and then I will go through the chat then. But yes, I used to feel like that was normal because I had very difficult, painful periods. And I just want to say, suffering and misery and pain, it is not normal, right? No, Shanika, you are right on time, love. Thank you all for your patience again. I was explaining that I'm in Thailand, so the time zones are very different. But I felt that it was normalized. It was normal to have very painful periods. Personally, getting into my personal history, I had debilitating pain. And if that's something you can resonate with, let me know. But it was debilitating pain. There were times when I literally had to crawl to the bathroom. And during that time, exactly, Teresa, exactly. It has been normalized. And part of it is because as women, right, the divine wisdom and the power that we possess, this is a male dominated world. And so part of it is that if all women knew their power and stepped into that divine energy, things would be completely different. The world as we know it and as we see it would be a completely different place. And that would just shift things and shake things up, and people would prefer to remain in power. So perceived power, right? So my period symptoms were not unpredictable, actually, for me personally. I knew leading up to my period it was going to be a difficult time, and that I would just be in pain. And like I said, there were times when the cramps were so bad, I literally didn't want to eat much of anything at all. It was so much pain and so much energy in this region that I didn't want to put anything in. I literally felt sick, right? Sick. And I would have to crawl to the bathroom at times. Crawl to the bathroom to use the bathroom. And I remember my cousin Queen growing up, she would have symptoms of like vomiting and nausea and just being completely out of it. And I know this is so many women's experience, especially with the rise of endometriosis and PCOS and cysts, which I healed from. We're gonna get into all of that as well and the hormonal shifts, but I literally have chills right now thinking of the massive amount of pain that women are experiencing and going through, and it is just seen as normal. Like, okay, I dread my period time. I know that this is a time that I need to fill myself with ibuprofen and painful pain medication. Yeah, sunshine, the pain can be absolutely debilitating and distracting. It is a distraction. So let's get into it. Save your questions for the end. We're gonna do Q&A. And I have also put a community post on my channel so that you can see the different links, things that I may refer to in this video. I have already put the links there. So my digital products. Hello, hello, Cam. Yes, okay. So let's get into it. I have some things to cover, but this should not be that drawn out, but y'all know I can talk. All right, so the divine power of your period and why pain and suffering is normalized. As I said, your period is not meant to be about suffering, and it is not meant to be just about creating children. That's another thing. Not all women prefer to have children in this lifetime. So it is not just for those functions. Yes, okay. So I want to shout out to Aino Luo. She commented on the community post and asked me to create a video on this topic. That's why we're doing this Q&A now. So shout out to you, love, if you're watching. Food definitely has some influence on our period, but I would like to go deeper. I've been talking about this for years, but I would like to go even deeper. There's more under the layer. There's more under the surface than just the foods that we're consuming. There's so much that contributes to the imbalance of our hormones, our period, and our emotions, and our ability to be clear. So yes, okay. So the way that I like to think of our menstrual cycle, it's not just the time that you're bleeding. That's technically it's supposed to be the first phase. I look at this complete cycle that we're in as like the natural rhythms and seasons that a woman goes through, right? So if you think about the seasons, right now we are in spring, and most people feel that January 1st, the calendar new year, the Gregorian year, that calendar, that January, that's the beginning of the year. And when you actually look at nature, we are just reflections of nature. When you actually look at nature, this time, this springtime, when things are starting to bud, right? The seeds are more fruitful, and the weather changes, and you feel like you're coming out of your cocoon after winter. This to me feels more like the new year, spring equinox, exactly, the natural new year. Yes, Lady D. Set yourself free. I love that. This actually feels like the new year. And when I was doing my research on the phases of our menstrual cycle, what I noticed is it was said that the first period, our new year is winter, which is the bleed. And to me, I thought, if we're already shedding our uterine lining, how could that be the beginning of the cycle? And this all plays into it, right? Plays into our natural rhythm and cycle as women. We are cyclical. Women, we are cyclical, okay? We are like the sea, similar to the tide, and we move in different energies at different times of our cycle. So although this is supposed to be the first phase, I will just break it down in the way that I researched it. So the menstrual phase, which is supposed to be the first phase, it is like our personal winter. During this time, the hormones that we are experiencing, estrogen, cyclical, not cyclical like CY, cycle, cyclical, not sickle cell. Sorry about that. Yes, Lady D. Okay, so the hormones, estrogen and progesterone are at their lowest. They're at their lowest to let the uterine lining release, and that is what that's the blood that you experience. Your uterine lining has released because an egg is not going to be fertilized in the endometrium, right? So it has to release. So these hormones are lowered, and you bleed. You have your 3-day period, your 5-day period, and I know some women experience much longer periods and hemorrhaging, but a balanced period should be between 3 and 5 days. Technically, everyone is so different, but that is what is considered as normal. All right, so there's also a hormone called FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone, and that starts to increase during this time. As you're bleeding, your follicle stimulating hormone is starting to increase. The next phase will be the follicular phase, but right now we're still in the menstrual. And I want to talk about the gland that essentially, well, there are a few glands that essentially release the hormones that are necessary for this cycle and the hormone shifts to happen in order for us to be with child or get into this portal, as I'll discuss a little bit later. So the pituitary gland is the gland that is going to be sending out the estrogen and the progesterone, but your ovaries and your pineal gland. So the pineal gland is your master gland. The pineal gland sends the signal to your pituitary to release some of these hormones, like an influx, a surge of these hormones as you need it. And I want to talk about the pineal and pituitary gland a bit because I don't see this much in the research. My master teachers are people like Dr. Delbert Blair and Metaphysical occult teachers that I've studied under and from via the internet or in person. And there's such an emphasis on the pineal and the pituitary gland because they facilitate this process of hormones being released, which is so much of the functionality. Our body wouldn't be able to do most of the things if hormones are not released into our bloodstream and throughout the body. So your ovaries play a role, your hypothalamus, and your pituitary, your pineal, liver, we'll get into that as well. But So the pineal is your master gland. It chemically analyzes and organizes different imbalances in your body, and then it sends a signal to the pituitary gland to release whatever hormones are necessary to get your body into a state of balance or homeostasis. So think about the polluted water. Think about using a lot of toothpaste and things with fluoride. These chemicals, these synthetics, can calcify the pineal gland. That's going to affect how your pituitary gland releases hormones, especially on your menstrual cycle as women. So we have to be extra mindful and extra careful of the things we're consuming, the synthetic foods, the GMOs. So these are the things that are going to block your pineal gland. GMO foods, we know this. Medication. You may think that birth control and antibiotics, if you're experiencing recurring yeast infections and bacterial vaginosis, you may feel that these things are harmless, or that it's all you really can do at the time because you're experiencing so much pain or discomfort. But if you think about it in the long term, we are wreaking havoc on our livers and our spleen and these glands and organs that are meant to get us back into balance and detoxify. So all these growths, these womb growths and the cysts and the fibroids and the imbalances, the polycystic ovarian syndrome. I had hemorrhagic cysts in my left ovary that became problematic. That's just waste, right? It's waste in the endometrium, which is the lining that we implant the eggs to be fertilized and produce these babies, children. It's just waste, and the body is trying to do its best to save you. It's doing its best. So the foods, right? So the GMOs, fluoride, which, the chlorine, all these things that are in water, which is why drinking purified spring water, purified by nature, not just, packaged bottled water. Synthetic ingredients or synthetic chemicals like food dyes. This is why in my womb food guide, I emphasize reducing and eliminating the highly processed foods, because these food dyes, first of all, they're wreaking havoc even on our children. So the autism and the ADHD, I remember my brother was diagnosed with ADHD. Hey D, ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, when we were younger. And now that I'm older and wiser, I realize he's a boy, he's a child. His hormones are fluctuating, and you're welcome, Starcy. And of course, maybe he would not learn in the same way that other students would learn and want to be sitting in a classroom. And so there's a real issue and epidemic almost in the school system with labeling children as ADHD, ADD, and having learning disabilities. Hey girl. So I'm so happy. I just want to pause and say thank you all for being here. And I hope that I trust this information is supportive for you. And please share this after. If you know anyone that needs this information, I want to really get into the juiciness and the truth of, what we can really uncover during this time. So these food dyes and these toxins that are in the foods, you all, listen to me. They are wreaking havoc on our bodies, starting from when we're young. So if you go into a grocery store, you will see that there are very colorful and children-friendly foods that are at the level of the child. And this is all strategic. So if you're an overburdened parent, I just want to tap on this really quickly. If you're an overburdened parent and you just want to find some relief and have some relief, I'll just say this. and you're in the store and your child is screaming for these particular type of foods and grabbing the colorful boxes and the Pop-Tarts and the this and the that, the cereals, all of these things with these heavy synthetic ingredients and chemicals and sugar, this refined sugar, everything has canola oil. These, you can't even call them food. These ingredients are strategically disrupting our endocrine system, which is the system of the hormones. And this imbalance is going to cause more issues later down the line, because now you have a liver, you may have a liver that is so overburdened and is not being able, and kidneys, your adrenal glands that are not being able to properly balance what is happening in the body and the imbalances. So if you are consistently consuming waste, whether that is through your beauty products, the things you put on your largest organ, okay, or environmental factors, stress, these things, if you're consistently consuming and being burdened with these issues, then, and your body is not able to properly rebalance you and detoxify, what does that mean? Now you have a buildup of toxicity in the body. And a lot of the times that is why we're seeing the endometriosis, the PCOS, the cysts, and the fibroids. I know for me personally, really early on, you all that have been here, part of the TK fam, that have been here on YouTube with me for 10, 11 years, really early on, I started to notice how sensitive I was. And I'm so grateful that I was diagnosed with, had ovarian cysts, because otherwise I would have just continued with the lifestyle that I had, right? Yes, Kiki. I would have just continued with the lifestyle that I had. But your body sends you signals and it gives you symptoms, right? That they're warning signs. So you may have pain, you may feel, nausea on your period, you may be unclear mentally. These are warning signals, and they're whispers, small whispers, and this is feedback from your body. The more you ignore it or numb it with ibuprofen, birth control, and whatever else we, numb ourselves with, more issues will build up in the body. When that happens, the signals become louder. The signals are louder. They're really starting to try to get your attention. Now you have this back pain, and now you have growths, you have bloating when you try to eat anything, you have gut and digestive issues. And this is your body now stepping up a level to say, okay, you don't want to listen, you want to numb, you don't want to listen and take care of me, let me give you this one. How do you manage this? And that is why I do not condemn all doctors or say that Western medicine as a whole is, the enemy, but we have to think about what pharmaceutical drugs are doing. First of all, drugs, let's just think about the fact that that is what we are calling what we're putting into our body, drugs, right? We have to think about what it is doing. Your body is designed beautifully, perfectly, and naturally to send you signals. Let me set down my notes. It is meant to send you these signals. Otherwise, how would you know that there is an issue in the body? I can just say personally for me right now, if I eat or consume something that is going to cause food poisoning, or it is going to affect my brain, which sugar does for me. Immediately, if I have refined sugar, a lot of it, my brain, I will start to get a headache. So that is a signal. My body is telling me, stop this, decrease what you're doing now. This is problematic for us. We need to get this out of our body. So just pause, right? But if you take a drug that allows you to still participate in the foolishness, I will just call it, we have to be honest. If you take a drug or something that allows you to still participate and go on as if life is normal, your body now is, you're not listening to these signals that your body is giving you. So again, the liver, the kidneys, the adrenal glands, all of these glands are being overburdened and overworked. And what this does is it puts heavy weight on our digestive system and our reproductive system. So now our body is trying to figure out, well, what do we do with all of this waste? We get the fibroids, we get the cysts and the polyps and growths. Your cells start to multiply and grow, and estrogen dominance becomes a thing. Insulin resistance becomes a thing. And again, these all contribute to much greater issues later on down the line. So pharmaceuticals, I said, for your pineal gland, heavy metals as well, and the water. This is why I, used to say, Dr. Sebi would talk about, Dr. Sebi would talk about drinking a gallon of spring water a day. And, that was in the beginning. We were thinking, okay, how do we hydrate our cells and get more oxygen to the brain and around our body to facilitate, the balancing of our nervous system and the other functions in the body. And so, okay, we need more water. So drink a gallon of spring water a day. But now, can we trust most of the bottled waters? No, we cannot. So if you can't afford the glass water bottles, right? If you can't afford that, or a higher grade spring water, or if you can't get to Jamaica, or to these countries where you can just go to a natural spring and get this water that has been filtered through rocks and sand and has the right balance of minerals that we need, that should be in our water. It's living water. Being packaged in a bottle within itself already says something is wrong, because water is meant to be in flow and purify and detoxify itself. So if you can't get that, this is why I emphasize eating your water, which is going to be your fruits that have a high water content. This is why I talk about watermelon, red watermelon with black seeds, papaya. These fruits have such a high water content, and it's already beautifully packaged in a way that your body can recognize and start to hydrate your cells. A lot of diseases, the foundation of it is dehydration. Alzheimer's, these things we also start to experience later on in life, can be remedied by just hydrating our cells, getting deep hydration on a cellular level. So yes, so that's the pineal and the pituitary gland, and how they contribute to the hormones that are being released during our menstrual cycle. And so we talked about the first menstrual phase, as they say is the first, which is day 1 through 5. I see this as the last phase, right? The shedding, I see that as the last phase, but that is considered the winter. Next, we have the follicular phase, which is typically day 6 to day 14. This is your spring. As women, this is our natural springtime. So what is happening during the follicular phase? So estrogen is starting to rise. And estrogen, this hormone comes with a heightened sense of energy and creativity. And these are the kind of energies that are starting to increase when estrogen is increasing as well. So here we are. Creativity is going to start to bud during this time. After your period, you feel like a new woman. You feel like, okay, I can do anything now. And that's because of estrogen starting to rise. So your curiosity, your imagination, these things are also starting to rise. Your inspiration is blossoming. And this is a really good time to start projects and to think about what you want to create new in your life. This is the newness. This is the new year, your personal new year. And we're so blessed as women because we get this every month. Imagine, instead of 365 days, we get this every single month. When you get on the other side of the pain and the discomfort and the suffering, you really can tap into your gifts and just the natural abilities that we have. So you have more energy during this time, and your clarity. This is when you start to feel more clear. The pain has subsided, right? And you can start to work on these new projects, or just show up better in your life for yourself and for the people that you love. So estrogen is starting to build the uterine lining, which is called the endometrium. Again, this is also the same place where the fiber can be inflamed, and then these growths will start to happen. So estrogen builds the uterine lining, and that is that is synonymous with the endometrium thickening. So the FSH, which is the follicular stimulating hormone, that is contributing to our follicles starting to grow and prepare for the eggs to be implanted. When I found out that I had ovarian cysts, I went to the OBGYN. One thing that was so alarming that the doctor told me was that, well, just get on birth control because this is going to stop the follicles from enlarging and growing and prevent the egg from being released. And I thought, so that's how this system works? Instead of deal with the root. Oh, I'm so sorry. Is it paused now? Wait. Okay, it's back online. Sorry, I just got a call. Are you guys? Okay, let me just wait. It's good. Okay, thank you, Cam. I don't know why this Thailand number keeps calling me. Okay, where was I at? Oh, I thought if that is the way that this system is working, for you to just give me a pill, give me something that is going to change the way my body is naturally producing hormones, increasing and decreasing hormones in my body, for me to be balanced, I don't want any part of this. So when the doctor said that, I said, well, do you think diet maybe can contribute to this? Do you think lifestyle? Do you think stress? And they had no knowledge. And even if they did, they would not share that with me. They said, we don't have any findings or proof that would be the case. But we know for sure, if we give you this hormonal birth control, the follicle will never even progress. So you won't have these issues. And I'm, again, like, this is the way my mind works. This is why I love being a woman. And this is why I love that my curiosity was never, damaged as a child. Blessings, Starcy. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. It is my pleasure to share this knowledge, right? I was thinking, all right, so we're not getting to the root of this. We're not really focusing on why these growths are starting to happen. And that's problematic for me, because what does that mean? That means once I go on birth control, once I decide to get off of it, because now I want to have children, am I going to run into the same issues? Right? So this is when you start, like you just said, this is when you start to see the game that is being played in Western medicine and allopathic medicine, I should say, because it is not about curing. It's not a curative system. It is to numb. It is for symptoms. It is just about symptoms. I shared this story in my 13-day fast that I did during the winter season in January. I did a 13-day fast, water and herbal tea for the first 5 days, and the next 8 days I did water, herbal tea, and fruits here and there. So I did 13 days in total. And I talked about this in that video. You guys can go and watch it. That I grew up watching my grandmother with a plastic bag, you know how we save our plastic bags from Walgreens or wherever, Safeway, a plastic bag filled, not for, drugs, filled with pills, a bag of pills to manage the many different diseases that she was experiencing. And what one drug does, what it does is it's going to numb a symptom, it's going to numb pain, it's going to, shift the hormones in your body and your different pain receptors, etc. And so because that imbalance is now happening, right? Because this is a synthetic drug that we're taking. Now we have this imbalance. What do you need to do? Now this doctor is going to prescribe you something for the liver. This doctor is going to prescribe you something for the blood. So you start to see this is just a game. Like, this is not about curing you at all. So I got really curious during that time and I said, okay, let me figure out what I can do. And I knew, then I did my studying. That's when I became really interested in a plant-based lifestyle, veganism, Dr. Sebi. That was like the time, right? That was the time. I was charged up and knowing that instead of leaving the doctor and saying, oh, okay, these are my options, I perked up, right? And I said, what is my power? What can I do? How do I change my life? I got myself into this. How do I get myself out of it? And I knew, all right, we need to look at the lifestyle. So let's get into it. All right, so that is the follicular phase. Now we're moving into our personal summer as women. This is our ovulation phase, ovulatory phase. This is typically day 14 to day 17. As I said, this is our personal summer, right? What is happening on a hormonal level? Estrogen has already started to increase from the follicular phase, but now we're really seeing estrogen do its thing. So this comes with peak fertility. You're very magnetic. You can create and magnetize things to you very, very effortlessly during this time. And if you are wise, you will use the natural surge of particular hormones to your advantage in your personal life. Whatever you want to pursue and do in life, or even shed, use your cycle very wisely. So fertility has increased at this time. Attraction, like I said, you're knowing in your communication. Do you guys know that in ancient times, even now in many cultures around the world, when you are menstruating, you are like an oracle, right? There are certain women that can tap in and have psychic gifts and abilities during this time because of this cyclical nature and what we're able to tap into. So I'm not sure, you guys let me know in the chat, do you also experience prophetic dreams? Or dreams where it's almost foreshadowing, right? Like something will happen in your dream, even in your waking reality, something will happen in a dream, and then you see it happen in real life, in your waking life, and you say, that's a little peculiar, that's a little odd. There's a connection there. So it's really interesting to start to see what is happening as our hormones are shifting. I know for me, I have always been given signs and signals in my dreams, even when I was experiencing pain. But as I started to deja vu, exactly. As I started to clean up my lifestyle, and it's not just the foods, it's also the trauma and the stress that is stored in relationships with the mother and womb, I started to notice, I'm getting information in my dreams. Where's this information coming from? And in the very beginning, these things may feel scary or just kind of odd, right? Like you don't really understand this information. Sometimes you get fractals, different, bits of information here and there. But the more you get into this and clear this energy in your channel, you will see that if you have a question about anything, you ask the question, you will get an answer. You'll see it in your day-to-day life if you are aware, and you can get it in dreams, and you can get it especially during these periods of the our menstrual cycle. So we are in the ovulation phase, our personal summer. This is also a time when testosterone is at its highest. We associate testosterone with men, but we also produce testosterone as women. And this is going to increase your stamina and your endurance. So again, during the ovulation phase, people say their libido is really high and they just want to like jump on a tree and, be in divine masculine energy and, intimacy. But if you tap into that energy, you can birth business ideas and push projects forward and Communication is starting to open up at this time as well. So there are so many ways that you can tap into this energy. So because the testosterone is peaking, that's your endurance, that's your vibrancy, you're very expressive, estrogen as well, your confidence and your power, this energy you really start to feel increase and come online. So again, this is a miracle. This is something that we get to tap into as women naturally, as opposed to waiting 365 days. We just have this monthly. And I really want more women to feel the way that I feel during this time. And I made a video about how to stop your negative period symptoms. I have that video on my channel. I filmed it in Jamaica, and it is also linked in the community post. But I broke it down step by step how I no longer have negative symptoms on my period. It is possible. So if you have very debilitating cramps, bloating and emotional instability and aggression, and you become very catty and very sharp and snappy at this time, it is possible. Yes, Teresa, go get the video. It's already live. I have a whole womb wellness playlist. But it is possible to experience a period that you look forward to. I look forward to my menstrual cycle, well, not every month because we're always in the cycle, but I look forward to this every time, and I know when it's coming. I talked about this in my post. My symptoms, the way that I know my period is coming is because my intuition is heightened, because I just start knowing things. I'm getting into this almost dark feminine energy, which is not a negative thing, right? I'm starting to tap into nature, and I decide I'm going more inward at this time. I'm very reflective, and I journal. I'll share this, a little personal thing, but this is my journal. And these are my angels. So I have me when I was a child. This is my Nana and my mom. I journal. I literally have here, Takia, may all of your dreams come true. And I have so many journals. I have been journaling since, bless my grandma. She raised me, and she's an angel. And I talk about her so much now because I just see how much she protected my spirit as a child for me to be able to do these things now. But she made sure that, because of, having a difficult childhood, she made sure my siblings, and she made sure we were in counseling as children. And one of the things that was very supportive for me was journaling. So I have my journal from when I was in 8th grade, was it? In 8th grade. I have that journal, and I have continued journaling since then. So this is years of me tapping into my subconscious and my deep feminine power and energy. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but I just have all of this information. And so this is the time when you can journal and you can really tap into, let me drink some of my non-spring water. I wanted to come on first thing in the morning before going to breakfast to have my fruits. But anyways, yes, this is the time when you can really tap into what your body, what your highest self, your divine wisdom and guidance, and whether you believe in God or your experience with God is different, it doesn't matter. There is the divine, there is spirit. We are having a physical experience, and we are spiritual beings. So as women, we get to tap into this on a completely different level. I want to pause for a moment, because this is something that I find so extremely fascinating, that during our periods, or just as women, we completely sleep on the fact that, sorry if you had to witness that. Oh, I hate when that happens. Hold on, let me get some castor oil. Y'all know I offer Jamaican black castor oil with my e-commerce business. Okay, so I travel with this everywhere I go. So I'll talk about castor oil packs as well in a moment, and the liver. But this is also the best, the best lip balm. No, it's not a gloss line. That's Jamaican black castor oil that from my business. Let's talk about the fact that every human that you encounter and see on this world, in this world, came through the portal of a woman. I don't know if I just have cleared myself so much that I see the divine miracles in our waking life. Like everything to me is so miraculous. Women, everyone you see and get to experience in life, that happens because a human came out of a woman's body. That is how you know that this is a portal. You have a portal within yourself to the divine and to other realms, right? And I know some people think certain concepts are woo-woo, but I want to be very clear about where I stand. We are divine spiritual beings as women, as humans, and there is a direct portal to spirit. If you think about karma and reincarnation, think about spirits and souls choosing to come and have a human experience and experience certain things in these lives, certain traumas, choosing their family and the different people they will encounter in these soul contracts and relationships. Whether you believe this or not, it is so interesting to think about it and to know that if you decided to have this experience as a soul, as your spirit, and to incarnate in a physical human body, that means there's another realm and it's connected. This live will be saved, Amina, of course. Absolutely. I know it's late for some of you. 44 in the chat as I see it. I know it's late for some of you, so this will be saved. But thank you all so much, everyone who has tapped in, who has been here with me live. I'm so happy to be with you all. If there are any men watching, I would love to know that as well, because I want to refer to us as ladies, right? But I also want to be inclusive. But this, this information is for us. We have a direct portal. Yes, physical versus spiritual, right? There's a war on the spiritual side of things, absolutely. So think about it as you having a portal to another realm, right? Where a being is now going to incarnate into you, through you, and be a living, functioning, breathing human in this world. That within itself is a miracle. We sleep on this as women. We sleep on the fact that we create life. Not only do we create physical life, we can use that energy. Listen to me. If you take nothing else away from this, understand that you can use the energy of creating children. We have this every month. An egg gets released to be fertilized. You can use that energy and birth something so magical and beautiful into this world. So potent, such beautiful medicine, whether that's just on a small scale, it's still impactful in your own personal life, right? These are things that I am going to be touching on in my new masterclass. I am coming out with a course. I have been working on the course material, and I am so excited to offer more digital resources to you all. It'll be a 3-series class, which I'm excited about, but I don't want to touch on too much. But these are some of the concepts that I want to touch on because I've been able to utilize them in my own personal life. If you've been here for years, you know what my lifestyle used to be, how I used to carry myself, how I used to act. And if you really have been here and tapped in, you know the struggles that I experienced as a child and in my adolescence, even in my young adulthood, right? Being on my own from 17, if you've been here. If you don't, just imagine some of the things, right? I lost my parents very young. And so I've had to navigate this world and learn things by trial and error, just figuring it out. When you walk a divine path, I want to touch on this. When you walk a divine path, it is not always laid out for you, clear and plain. You may not always have mentors or teachers or people who have done the thing, because your divine gift and your assignment and your calling is yours. It is unique and special to you. So I have had to move through this world and figure it out, right? That is the power that we have as women. So being able to tap into this energy now and create a life of total freedom for myself, these things are not normal. These things are not just everyday situations. Removing the programming that we get, the domestication that we get as children and in the school system, these are things that I started to see very early on were not going to be beneficial to my liberation as a human in society, because I'm not interested in fully being a part of society. I know my divine mission and plan, and I didn't always know, but tapping into this energy as a woman, like tapping into the energy, I realize now, oh, okay, so my purpose is much greater. And instead of working for other people and working towards their goals, I want to do that for me and for my people, right? For my people. Like, how do we build? How do we create legacy? And how do I ensure that my family, how do I ensure that the generational trauma that has come before me, it has been so immense and so intense and so ingrained in the women in my life that came before me. How do I stop that? That has been my mission here. So even if you don't see someone moving so much in this physical world and having all of these perceived successes that society says are, the things we should strive to, please understand that some of us are doing work on a karmic spiritual level, this clearing and this shedding of these old beliefs and systems to tap into our innate power and gifts. This is pivotal divine work. If you are also experiencing that, or if you're in that, I want you to know that, like, just because maybe you have not started a business or whatever you may see that society says is success, just because you have not done that does not mean you are not doing real work, special, necessary, pivotal, impactful work that you are going to very soon see was so necessary for you to be in solitude, for you to tap in to yourself, to remove the distractions in your life, the men in your life that are distracting, these intimate relationships that are sent to knock you off your path. In my first newsletter that I sent out, and if you guys are interested in being a part of the, what do I call it, the Well Club, my newsletter, the first newsletter I sent out, I talked about these distractions. Yes, I talked about these distractions, and yes, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. That means I need to get back into focus. But yes, we have different missions in this life, and just because someone may not see what is happening on the surface, there is real, impactful, potent work being done on a different level, and we are moving into a new world. It doesn't mean we're moving to Mars and the world as we see it is going to be extremely different physically. It means there are people who have been doing spiritual work, clearing and building their dream life, even if it's not in the hustling and the doing, because as women, we can be receptive, magnetic, and less doing and overtly doing and outward doing and receiving, right? Tapping in. And this is something that I had to really learn being a woman who had to figure it all out, starting from when I was a girl. It was ingrained in me to be a hustler and to rely on my masculine energy. What that did is it imbalanced my hormones and my natural cyclical nature and my hormones, like I said, and it does contribute to endometriosis, PCOS, fibroids, this over hyper vigilant masculine energy, you all, this hustle mentality, that's not our role. It's not our role in this life as women, you know? Leave that to the men. This doesn't mean don't go out and, you know, build the life you want. You do it, and you do it in a different way. You can. So it's a much easier way, by the way. I just want to say it's an easier life. I, again, used to rely on my masculine energy because I had no choice. And this is where I really, if there are any men watching this, I want to offer you this. Support the women in your life. Their role is not to be doing everything. Support the women in your life, even if it's not a romantic relationship. If you are a brother and you have sisters, if you are an uncle, if you are a nephew, whatever, support the women in your life, because our battle, our mission here is, yes, the independency, the independent nature, the survival, exactly. Our role here is something much different. Support the women in your life so that they can be in their feminine energy. And I didn't connect with this. This never resonated for me because I grew up a tomboy. And when I tell you my grandmother protected my spirit as a child, let me just tell you this. Like, this is a personal story, little segue, but she had me in all of the sports. I did Kung Fu or karate, I can't remember which one, as a child. All of the sports, basketball, track, volleyball, not volleyball, softball. What else? Rowing. Like, I did rowing in high school, hiking and river rafting. And what else? I feel like I've just done it all. She made sure that I had extracurricular activities to channel a lot of the pain and energy that I was experiencing as a child. But she also almost encouraged my tomboy nature, I'll say. And she knew, maybe not on a conscious level, but on a subconscious, innate level, she knew the wisdom and the power that I possessed as a woman, as a girl, and that people would take advantage of that. And so I dressed like a tomboy, and, you know, I have these big muscles, and I'm playing all of the sports, and I literally did not like boys. Like, I had crushes and, you know, people that I liked, but for the most part, I was looking at them like, you want to race? Like, I bet you I can beat you in, what is this? Arm wrestling, these things. I was so in my masculine energy. And what it does, I want to talk about, some of you may know Queen Cup here on YouTube. If you don't know about her, when I say she has helped me transition and see my masculine and feminine energy in a beautiful way. Your masculine energy comes in to protect your feminine energy. There are so many things that we can experience as women in this life where our feminine energy is just not safe. It's not safe to be in our femininity and to be this. It's not safe. And feminine energy, by the way, is not just pink and roses. Like, the dark feminine, this is a real thing. And I can talk about this later. You know Queen Cup? Queen Cup, listen, she is also a Cancer sun like me. We're all the signs, as she says. But she is a master of transmuting dark energy, a master of it. Anyways, so your masculine energy will come up. If you don't have masculines in your life, your masculine energy will come up to protect your feminine energy. And if you're consistently in this cycle of your masculine energy having to be on the forefront and you having to be so hyper independent and in survival mode, your feminine energy, you're just not used to being in it. So I just, I look back to relationships that I had and I think about how I was like wanting to be in control of it all, and bless her heart, right? Like, sometimes we have no choice. And that's a lot of, that's a lot of the story that we see as Black women at times, Indigenous women. Sometimes you just have no choice. And it is unfortunate, but you really get to see your power and your strength, and you realize, well, if I can go through this is why it's so much easier for me now to make big leaps and changes in my life. If I can go through all of that, oh, I know that I can do this, right? You just start to build up this relationship and this trust with God, with yourself, with spirit and divine, with God, right? You start to build up this relationship and this faith. I literally have faith tattooed here. I talked about it in the last live, but you start to build that relationship. So yes, that was a long little segue. We're already at an hour. Oh my goodness. Thank you all for being here. I'm so excited about this. Like, this is the kind of content that I am really passionate about. And for a while, I wasn't sure, could I really bring this to the channel? Will people understand it? But that it's not my concern. The people who are meant to align with my medicine and what I have experienced and learned in this life through experience, my medicine is going to reach who it is supposed to reach. And I offer that to you as well. If you're worried about what people think and what you may say or being too woo-woo or out there, your woo-woo people and audience are there looking for you and your divine voice. Girl, we haven't even gotten through the phases. Okay, but I hope this has been supportive and enlightening so far. All right, so we talked about the ovulation phase. Now let's get into your luteal phase. So this is our autumn, our personal autumn as women. This typically is day 18 to 28. So if you look at that, that's 10 whole days. That's 2 weeks essentially. Estrogen is decreasing at this time. That means progesterone is increasing. Estrogen and progesterone are spar partners, right? When one is up, the other is typically down if it is a normal balanced system. So the estrogen has started to decrease, so our progesterone is going up. This is going to bring energy of calmness, introspection, stillness, reset and renew. And it is very important during this time to allow your body to rest. If you're in your hypermasculine energy and you're doing and whatever, you're working a corporate job, you're a mother and you have to be constantly doing, I hope that you can find a way to rest during this time, because the information that you are receiving during this time, the amount that your heart can open and the amount that you can transmute the deeper energies. So when I'm saying energies, emotions, it's energy in motion. Emotions, energy in motion, right? So these emotions that you're starting to feel during this time, they are signals and they come with a lot of wisdom. And being able to tap into it is a gift. But sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Let me get back. So at this time, again, the progesterone is rising now. And so your emotions are heightened. That's what I was saying. And you can be extremely sensitive at this time. And the way a lot of people experience it, I know I did, was like irritability, snapping, and just being crabby and nasty at this time, right? This also is related to jealousy and envy and your lack of ability to be in positive, healthy relationships with other women, right? That competition, that is also... Kanisha? Who's Kanisha? Wait, hold on. Do we have Kanisha in here? Oh, okay, wait, let me just pause for you all. God literally stripped that from me as I am on my faith journey. Like a cover up, yes. Independency and survival are all on it. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, Kanisha, thank you for being here and dropping your wisdom. I really appreciate it. And I'm happy you guys are aligning to the information, because we're making shifts on my channel and in my personal life. Shifts are being had on such a impactful level, you all. Like, what I'm being able to tap into now, it is much greater than I've ever experienced in my life. And the amount of freedom that I have to tap into it, it's next level. So, okay. And I want to talk about that more as it becomes clearer to me and as I utilize the gifts and the things that are starting to come online for me now. Thank you, Kanisha. I appreciate that. And it's beautiful that you guys can recognize it and see it, because it's work that I do. That's personal, spiritual, deep shadow work that I do on my own. This is something that, like, let's look at, this is a journal that I've had for years. Like, y'all, this is metaphysical work, just strict down to it. Like, not just affirmations and the fairy, airy, fairy love and light energy. This is the deep, deep divine feminine shadow work. And that's why I started the membership part of this channel. Bye, Cam. That's why I started the membership part of this channel, because I have recorded myself in very vulnerable moments. And thank you for being here, Cam. I have recorded myself in very vulnerable moments when I have moved through a lot of these heavy energies, especially in Jamaica. That was like a portal within itself. It was another dimension, me moving to Jamaica. I've moved through these energies, and I came on camera and never felt safe sharing it with the general public, but I have created a membership part of my channel. So these are concepts that I want to talk about, and you get to see me during those times when I was experiencing it and really trying to understand what was happening, because it's very challenging. And if you don't have someone in your life, a woman who has experienced these things, it can be so isolating and confusing to experience some of these heavier emotions and deeper realms. I would just say that. Okay, so back to the progesterone rising. This is beautiful because you are able to reflect deeply during this time. When you reflect, you're able to clearly see what no longer serves you, who no longer serves you, and this is the time to really understand the relationships that you have in your life and what you are exposing yourself to. Yes, Starcy, what you are exposing yourself to. So it's not just the foods we eat. It's not just the products we put on our hair and on our skin. It's also the relationships that we're participating in, right? So if you are in an imbalanced state, your emotions are all over the place, you're on birth control, you know, you're really reliant on numbing your symptoms with whatever vice you may have, food, or social media, whatever it is, your system is weakened, your discernment is weakened, and you can easily be in relationships that are abusive. Meaning, and this is not victim blaming or shaming at all, what I mean is the clarity and the ability and the confidence to move forward from these situations, it just isn't there, because our hormones are all over the place. And we are not tapped into our divine wisdom and power. Because what would you do differently in your life if you knew it was all going to work out exactly as you dream and plan? What would you change? A lot of us would get out of certain relationships, whether that's romantic, business, friendships. A lot of us would move away from where we live. A lot of us would start the thing, start the project, be embarrassed and do something different in our lives, and not focus on what other people think, right? So the amount of havoc that is wreaked on our reproductive system and our endocrine system is so many changes, exactly. Can come from the relationships that we're in. I know personally, for me, being in difficult relationships, you know, at times almost blurred my knowing and your integrity and your sense of being able to discern what should I be experiencing, what is healthy, and should I do this thing, should I not? Like, your ability to discern is completely thrown off when you are not balanced. And this is why I say, like, the change and the shift in this world, Queen Cup says this as well. A lot of people, I don't know if you are familiar with New Earth Mystery School and Miriam Hasnea, but she is also has been one of my teachers and pivotal and my changing the energetics in my body and what I allow and accept as a woman. And it was deep work that I was doing simultaneously with being in, a challenging relationship during my time in Jamaica. But I just want to say that, like, your ability to know what is right from wrong. Some people get so confused how people can be in relationships that are challenging for them. They think, well, just leave. If your hormones are all over the place, right? And you are not in a sane, if you're not in a sane sense of being and knowing, it's easier to be manipulated. It's easier to be controlled and to make excuses for your own suffering. One thing that we have to do is stop making excuses for our own suffering. Personal accountability, right? Knowing, when you're able to clear all of this up, you get this knowing, and your standards rise with all relationships, with all things in life. Anything, your standards begin to rise, and you realize, this is not serving me, this does not feel good, and now I can make decisions that contribute to my highest good and to my future self. Like, what is the Takia in 5 years from now, the Takia that has all of these things? Say it to yourself, and I hope you guys can use these as like journal prompts. What does she do in this situation? I talked about this in my newsletter. What decisions does she make? If you ever are questioning yourself, you don't even need to ask a friend, to phone a friend. You don't even need to talk to a therapist, to go into ChatGPT, to ask anyone outside of yourself. You have the divine innate wisdom within. All you have to do is sit and tap in to the version of you see for yourself and you want to be. What decision would she make in this moment? What things would she change? What would she eat at this time? Okay, what would she feed herself? How would she nourish herself? This is why I created the Womb Food Healing Guide, because, just a little segue, like, our life is meant to be pleasurable. I do believe that we're meant to have pleasure in our life. And I personally love food. I love to eat. And so I made the Womb Food Healing Guide to give you these alternatives to the foods you already like to eat. But the food addiction that a lot of us have, we don't even realize we're addicted to food, first of all. The cravings that we have are directly related to the emotions that we have not moved through or worked through. Something that I talked about in the newsletter was my cravings, my addiction to sweets, to sugar. And I knew when I was feeling lonely, and lonely not in the sense of being with a man or a partner, lonely in wanting to have like a mother energy. Some of you may not know, but I lost my mother in 2012, very early on, right after high school. And so growing up, I had a very challenging relationship with the women figures in my life that were there to guide me, because of that disconnection from my own personal mother. So I know when I have been in that state of wanting comfort, right? Just wanting to let my shoulders down and be feminine and be a girl and be soft and get back to these moments that I feel maybe I used to feel were robbed from me, right? From my childhood. I crave sweets. And so I started to get really clear and see the correlation between my cravings, my behaviors, my habits, and what I was really needing to tap into and heal. So your luteal phase is the perfect time to move through these darker or energies that you want to shift out of, because that's where the real healing work comes from. I saw a post on Threads last night, and a woman was saying, those of you who have symptomless periods and easy, pain-free periods, how do you do it? Like, put me onto your secrets. And I was going through the comments and the suggestions, and people were talking about fasting and the foods and, movement and all of this. All of that is valid. It is also what I use to help heal from ovarian cysts and hormonal imbalances and depression and anxiety and these things. But the real work I want to talk to you about, and my second newsletter is about this, is the trauma stored in our bodies. Trauma is subjective to everyone. It is different. You may have been bullied as a child and that is trauma for you. You may have stubbed your toe, right? Like our threshold for pain is very different for each one of us. And so trauma looks very different. So what I have experienced in life and what other people have experienced that is far, maybe more challenging, perceived challenging than I have, is still trauma. That trauma is stored, you all. A lot of us have or have had problematic relationships with our mothers or the mother figures in our life or girlfriends, right? Like this energy between women, this competition that is like almost encouraged from when we were children, right? Like this catty, competitive energy. It's not for everyone, doesn't have this, but I see it a lot. That wound, right? Like that energy is stored in our womb. When we are born, we have all of the eggs that we will ever have, meaning it is directly influenced by what our mother experienced, by what her mother experienced. So when I look at my grandmother's life, when I look at my mother's life, I think, God, like they experienced so much trauma, so much heaviness. They just did not get to live like I get to live now. They do through me, but I think about the fact that I want to end that. And it's stored, like it's stored in you because you were in your mother and your mother was in her mother. That's generational trauma. That is what we pass down, not diseases. We're passing down trauma. We're passing down habits, our habitual nature and cravings and addiction to food, addiction to certain, behaviors and things. So there's so much also for you. Yes, there's so much that they experienced. And this is the time to shed. Your luteal phase, anytime is a good time to shed, right? But that deep, dark shadow work that really frees up your womb space, this area, your sacral chakra, you all, listen, it's so necessary. It's so necessary to start moving from a place of empowerment, being able to have right, to be able to walk in this way where you know who you are. It is a knowing that just is birthed and remembered. It is a remembering, a knowing and a remembering that starts to happen. These are not concepts that I knew or were offered to me from my grandmother or my mother or anyone in my life. I had to seek this information out. And I'm so grateful for my teachers and the mentors and the people that I've aligned to, because I wouldn't have known any of these concepts. I wouldn't have had the language, right? And so I'm grateful now that I can be kind of be that to other women who are experiencing it, because I'm telling you, when I was going through a lot of it, I felt damn near insane. Like damn near insane to try to transmute this heavy energy. And it is not, it's the weight of my destiny. Ahime Ora talked about this. She posted it, like surrendering to the weight of my destiny. And that's why I said it. Surrendering to the weight of my destiny. This is generational trauma and karma and blockages that I have cleared from my bloodline. And you know what that means? That means my children will not experience this, and their children's children and on will not experience this. And that is the legacy. That is what I'm offering to the world. That is that potent medicine that we have by clearing this energy and by birthing something new, which I've been so grateful to do with you all here through, online and, my businesses and things. But the connection that I have to you all is so special to me because it started from a time when I was blocked and I was stagnant and I didn't know what was going on in my life, and I was really needing support, and I didn't have it in my physical world. And so my online community, I love you all so much because you support it. Like when I say the emails that I get, the messages and the love that I have experienced from you all, I think about it and it makes me so emotional because Have a good evening. Rest well, Sonia or Sonia. I'm just so grateful for you all because I've had to move through a lot of the world solo and just trying to figure it out. And the support from you all has been amazing. Same here, Tikia. My children are not going to experiencing exactly. The work is being done now. And that's why I encourage you. This is a calling. If you are here, you are meant to hear this message. You are meant to let this seep into your cells and your soul and your fiber and know that you have work to do. You have work to do. And it shouldn't be seen as a burden. There were so many times when I thought, this is too much. Like, who is supposed to go through this? This is too much. And now I see it as such a gift and an honor that I get to do it. I get to do it. I get to provide a better life for myself and for my children. And this is why it has been so extremely important for me to not have children with unaligned partners, right? To not carry on their bloodline, to not carry on, to not be in a state of recreating trauma because I was not ready. I was not, and they say you're never ready, but I know for sure it was so important for me to clear some of this energy so that I am not traumatizing my children so they don't have to do this. They just don't have to do it now. Yes, they just don't have to do it now. So this time, I want you guys to think about this time, which is the autumn, right? Think of fall and what is happening. The leaves are falling off the trees, colors and things are shifting and changing. Think about this time. Every month you get this, to shed, to release, to heal. It's not just the surface level, you all. It's not just the foods. It's not just the movement, like I said. Getting deep down and really addressing what is underlying. Like one of the teachers that I have is Dr. Ann Brown, and she talks about, I will just show you. I dog-eared the pages so that I can talk about it. The melanin in the pineal gland. And this is when I was living in St. Catherine in Hellshire in Jamaica. This was December, sorry, what is this? 10/10/2020, which 10/10, that number always comes up for me. So thinking about carbon and melanin, and she talks about 70 to 90% of our physical ailments. Listen to this. 70 to 90% of our physical ailments arise first as an emotional or psychological input. So if you change your thinking, you change your physical condition, you all. This is why metaphysical work for me has been so important. And, some people will say it's new age, like the quantum mechanics and quantum physics. There's nothing new about this. There's nothing new about transmuting energies. There's nothing new about it. These glands, our pituitary and our pineal gland, are transducers of energy, and they're able to transform energies that we experience and energy that we get from the sun and from the foods and nature. It's no coincidence. So being able to unblock yourself emotionally and physically, these things are stored in the body. One of the practices that I have done for years, some of you know, is yoga. And I started with hot yoga. The heat and the sweating and the opening of the hips and really moving and activating this area saved me, saved my life. And I was certified as a yoga teacher in India, if you don't know. I spent the last 6 months in India. Now I'm in Thailand, thank God. Because that was a whole time in India. But I was certified as a hatha yoga teacher, breathwork or pranayama instructor, and meditation instructor, because this is the real work. Deepening and getting into the cells, this is the real work. And this is what I'm really excited and passionate about sharing and offering to you all. I do have one-on-one guidance sessions as well, if that's something you would ever be interested in. You can find that in the community post also. Okay, another thing that she said, that I wanted to touch on. Yes, your pineal gland is a transducer, so it converts energy from one form to another. You can use sound and light to stimulate and activate it, and different frequencies, and this is going to send the signal to your pituitary gland to release these hormones that we experience during our menstrual cycle. So again, we talked about, if you came onto the live late, we talked about some of the things that calcify and block the pineal gland, which is going to affect how your pituitary gland releases some of these hormones, and your ovaries and the hypothalamus. Okay, and then your pineal gland also keeps you in touch with the melanin centers, which if you study under or study from Dr. Layla O. Africa or Dr. Jewel Pookrum, these are master teachers. They talk about the chakras as melanin centers. So if you have melanin, we all have melanin. Some people have more, a lot more than others. They're melanin centers. The chakras of the body are melanin centers. Highly concentrated places of melanin. Melanin, I'm not going to touch on it in this video too much. Listen, powerful to tap into the energy of the melanin that you possess. So this is why I love tanning. If you see, I am extremely brown. It's not tanning, but just like deepening my color. Another way to heal the womb as well is to get vitamin D, get some sun down there. So what I used to do, I was in a relationship in Jamaica, and he had a farmhouse. So we would go into the country, and what I would do is I would literally sun my vagina. I would get sun on this area, these areas of the body, and on your nipples, you know, like covering yourself so no one else can see, but making sure you're getting this information and this energy from the sun. It is information. You're getting information. The reason why women are meant to, in Western society and these societies, the reason why it is shamed for us to have our nipples out is because they're antennas. Have you seen in Austin Powers, right? Is it Austin Powers? Is it Dreamgirls? Beyonce? What am I thinking? But the cones on the nipples, is that Austin Powers? Anyways, they're antennas. You need to have sun on these darker, highly melanated, the concentration of melanin needs the sun. So sunning your vagina and getting sun, I'll say, in there also is great for yeast infections. Yeast cannot grow or live, that bacteria, Austin Powers, okay, cannot grow or live with the sun. So I talked about like sunning your underwear, but also sunning these areas in the body. That's why I love going to the beach, the salt water, being in the Caribbean, being on an island, like having access to more vitamin D. I'm born and raised in Seattle. It was cloudy and rainy a lot of the time. So yeah. All right, you all, we are getting to the end of this live. It, of course, went on longer than I expected, but let's see what else I wanted to tap into. Oh, let me just call out some of my teachers and people that you can study under. Go onto YouTube and search some of these people. Dr. Jewel Pookrum. I was put onto Dr. Jewel Pookrum by Malcolm. Hey, Malcolm, if you're watching, and bless you for putting me onto her. Dr. Delbert Blair. If you want to understand more of the metaphysical and energetic side of some of the things I'm discussing, look into Dr. Delbert Blair. Dr. Layla O. Africa. They all have amazing lectures that you can find on YouTube, books, resources. So do your research if you would like. Dr. Ann Brown, Matthew Kennedy, Miriam Hasnea, Queen of Cups here on YouTube. This is the information that I have received. And then also my body has been my greatest teacher, the things I've experienced personally. I'm just the type that needs to experience certain things to fully understand and for them to integrate and resonate. You're welcome, Jaylene. Thank you for being here. Okay, so we covered the trauma. I will go into the liver in another video, but doing castor oil packs is very necessary, but then also making sure you're moving your lymphatic system, going to the steam room, sweating and getting the toxins out of your lymphatic system, very important. These are some herbs that can support your liver and your reproductive system. So we have burdock root, milk thistle or blessed thistle, sarsaparilla, which I offered in my shop when I was still selling these herbs. And y'all sold me out fast. I love you all for that. Bitters, I also had a bitter herbs blend, and you can find these in Jamaica. It's normal to like take bitters. So Cersei, rice bitters, there are so many, but bitters, you need to have bitters in your life and in your foods. That's why greens and things are so important. Dog blood, some of you know. There's also dogwood. I don't know if some of you know. Yes, Cersei. I call it dandy, but it is dandelion. And this is important and very potent for the liver. Dandelion. Blue vervain, which is great for your reproductive system. All of these are, but they're also great for the nervous system because everything works together. It is a holistic whole body. Guinean weed. Listen, this is one of the herbs that I was drinking during my dandelion. Is not that bitter. Let me tell you, if you have some rice bitters, if you've ever had aloe in your mouth, rice bitters, the king of bitters, Cersei, these bitters that I experienced in Jamaica changed me on a cellular level, okay? They are so bitter. I'm gonna turn on the AC. I hope it's not too loud. It should be fine because it's getting hot. Oh, and my little set, y'all. This is from Indigo Luna. Shout out to you, Eric, one of my good friends. He sent it to me from the United States, but Indigo Luna, y'all, I have a code. If you're ever interested in their sustainable and eco-friendly clothes, or you're interested in changing your wardrobe and you're in the market for that, check out Indigo Luna. They have yoga wear, beautiful. This is a full skirt that also doubles as a dress. I really love it. So I'll leave that link for you, but that's not what we're talking about. Where are we at? The herbs. Sea moss. Someone asked earlier. Oh, and you guys start to leave your questions. I want to start answering your questions for 10 or so minutes, and then I will hop off of here. Sea moss is one of the most important wild crafted purple or purple gold sea moss. Is one of the most important herbs, superfoods that you can take for your reproductive system, for healing hormonal irregularities and imbalances. Wild crafted sea moss. When I go back to Jamaica, my intention, don't hold me fully to this, but my intention is to get a whole bunch harvested and prepped and shipped to the United States to offer again for you all, because that changed my life. Sea moss alone changed my life and led me to Jamaica, and gave me the opportunity to go and eventually move there. Sea moss, wild and purple gold. I prefer to get it from Jamaica, of course, but some people also like the sea moss in St. Lucia, but you don't need to focus heavily on the gold sea moss. The purple dark hue is signifying the richness of iodine that the sea moss possesses, and all of the whole heap of minerals that are also, in there. So sea moss. There's another herb. It is a flower. It is called periwinkle. And it is this purple flower that is very, very powerful for the brain, but for the reproductive system, for yeast infections and BV and these recurring almost, these things that continue to come up in our lives. Periwinkle is great. And also in Jamaica, they call it marigold. That's another amazing herb. So yes, and castor oil packs, like I said. Okay, another way to tap into your knowing and these divine gifts is by hydrating your body. We talked about hydrating fruits, and helping your blood and your kidneys detoxify. But also, if you look at the structure of blood, hemoglobin, and chlorophyll, they're almost identical. Almost identical in structure. So that lets you know that the amount of chlorophyll you need to be consuming and would be beneficial during your menstrual cycle, especially when you're bleeding, because we're losing a lot of minerals, you all, during this process, a lot. And that, a lot of the times, if you're not replenishing, it leads to the menopause. The amount of minerals that we lose, it's ridiculous. So we have to be fueling ourselves through the foods, but also through, you know, what we're consuming, and getting out the heavy metals and these toxins. So yes, so herbs, like I just mentioned, juices, green juices, microgreens, and really boosting your iron intake. If you want to know what foods, if you're plant-based or not, and you want to know what foods have a high concentration of iron that is readily available to be used by your body, so it's actually absorbed into your small intestine, you can check out my womb food guide. There's also a separate plant-based guide, so you can get the womb food healing guide or just the food list, and that is also linked in the community post, but I'll put it in the description box of this video. So yes, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. I also, yeah, so bone density and menopause are something to look out for. Okay, let's get into questions. Let's pause that. Let's get into questions. Drop your questions, you all, for those of you who are still here. And I would love to answer the ones that are really aligned and feel right for this video. While fasting, how soon did you start to gain mental clarity? Jaylene, I fast often. This is a part of my spiritual work, is fasting. You will know in a lot of religions and cultures that they fast at different points, right? You think of Ramadan, or you think of, there are so many cultures. Anyways, fasting is, even in Christianity, like it's talked about a lot in the Bible. Fasting is something that I've implemented for years. Yes, it's a lifestyle. It's not something that you do here and there and then retox. It's a lifestyle. And I actually am going to start, this is personal, but you know, personal for me, but I'm actually going to start fasting. I intend on the day of the week that I was born every week, which was Thursday. I was born July 1st, but on a Thursday, I am feeling the call to do that. Like I had followed someone on Twitter, I'm forgetting his name now, but he talked about fasting on the day that you were born and the shift that you will start to notice. I wasn't ready for that years ago when I was, you know, consuming what he was sharing, but a seed was planted and now I'm feeling ready for that. I feel my best and my lightest and my clearest when I am fasting. So you can start with intermittent fasting, which is how I started. Just making sure my body was not digesting all day with all the snacking and all of that. Yes. So you can start with intermittent fasting and just ease your way into it. And if you guys have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will wrap up. But when you go on a fast, also if this is not something that you have done often, there will be symptoms similar to when you have a difficult period. You will have symptoms because your body is so used to relying on food for its energy and the metabolism, right? So you're going to experience symptoms that are uncomfortable. Just, you know, be prepared for that. Gracefully Me, you mentioned replacing nutrients for your cycle. I suffer from short but heavy periods, and I'm just starting to eliminate plastics and using the herbs you mentioned in managing mental wellness. Yes. Did you have a question? Hold on. You mentioned replenishing nutrients. Yes. So the plastics are not just, you know, plastics. They're also in our clothes. Like rayon and polyester. This is plastic, y'all. latex, like this is plastic. So that's why I talked about indigo luna, but you can just get cotton. Like being in India, what I really loved is the cotton and the linen is very affordable and high quality. And I have almost shifted the wardrobe that I have with me currently. Okay, plastics, yes. I have almost shifted my wardrobe to sustainable, eco-friendly fabrics. Cotton is great. Cotton is great. It has a very high vibrational frequency. Linen is great. They should not be technically paired together if you think about the energetics of the two. So cotton sheets, linen sheets, these things. And the rayon, the polyester, the nylon. There's so many sneaky ones, but these, no. As best as you can, try to stay away from them and just get 100% cotton. At the very basic level, try to find 100% cotton, and hopefully it could be organic cotton, whatever. If you're in the market again for, yes, so much to unlearn, you all, when it comes to our reproductive and nervous system, but our endocrine system. Endocrine and reproductive work together. Endocrine deals with hormones. And so everything is working in balance. But literally the clothes that we wear, like our Lululemon, I'm not perfect. I have all of the clothes, all of the things. I used to, partake in fast fashion as well. I worked with Fashion Nova for a few years on my channel. And, way back then, you can go and see those videos. We just didn't know. But now that we have the information, we have to do better. What are these sites? Like the Sheins, y'all, we have to put them out of business. Like, they're just taking the plastics that are in the pollution. I know you love Fashion Nova D, but Fashion Nova does not love you or our endocrine or reproductive system. They're wreaking havoc. And if you are sensitive, if you have a sensitive, constitution, you're experiencing that, right? The cotton polyester blend is sneaky. The reason why is sometimes cotton, depending on the grade of cotton, can be rigid and coarse. So they will blend it with these other fabrics because it's cost effective. It's very cheap for them to make, and it creates a softer, nicer texture. But there is also like very high quality cotton that is smooth and soft to the body as well. And linen is also great. But yes. Oh, how can I screenshot this? I want this for my thumbnail. Y'all see in real time what we do as creators for the thumbnail. Oh, I'm so grateful to have been with you all. Thank you. That's how I feel. I feel absolutely, my last live, I was inflamed. So many emotions from being in India, and I love myself. All of my my features, whether they're swollen or not, that's a lot of the European slavery conditioning I had to deprogram from. I love my features when they're swollen or not, but I just feel more like myself because those heavy starches are mostly out of my body. I'm a little bit more hydrated and going to the sea and the beach, and I just am really feeling like soft and sun-kissed and gorgeous and really tapped in. But if you guys don't have any more questions, I will go through the chat and see. Thank you, Kanisha. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I just threw out a lot of clothes from Fashion Nova. Yeah, when I go back to Los Angeles, the amount of clothes that I have to donate, I really loved thrifting, so I would thrift for high quality fabrics and materials. But y'all, I have so much that I just have no use for. Maybe I will sell those things like I used to do. I don't know, whenever I make my way back over there to do that. But yeah, I also like minimalism has changed my life as well. Learning how to live with less. And that's when you really realize, like, as you shed on an energetic, emotional level, you realize you don't need much. in the physical world, and it lets you move through life very light, very, very lightly. So, oh, you threw out your clothes from Fashion Nova? Bless you. I know it can be, we can have such like an emotional connection to these things. Yeah, it is hard to find 100% cotton, but there are brands like Uniqlo. I would show you some things, but Uniqlo, I recommend following Ryan Finn, the it girl of fashion. Like, people are just getting onto Ryan, but I have been so obsessed with Ryan, and she talks about her autism journey and fashion. If you follow her on Twitter or Instagram, anywhere, even on YouTube, that's where I first found her. It's RIANPHIN, I believe. Get into the fashion girlies who are talking about sustainable, eco-friendly brands. And maybe they might be heavy on your pocket, but like doing this deep feminine work, getting into the energy where you can create more abundance for yourself, allows you to afford what your body needs, right? Like that's the work, giving yourself what your body needs, and then the blessings multiply. So yes, I have plans to move to a new state before the fall, and yikes, such a big girl decision. Yes, I mean, I moved from my hometown in like 2019 from Seattle because I needed the sun. I moved to Los Angeles then, and that decision was a split decision. I had just done a Euro trip with my girlfriends at the time. We went all around, right? Like Greece and Italy, and we went to London. And a month after coming back from that trip, living in Seattle, I moved to Los Angeles. Like, the opportunity presented itself. And these are some of the things you can tap into being in your feminine energy, like quick manifestations, quick creations, quick. A month later, I moved to Los Angeles. And I lived in Los Angeles for over a year. During that time of living in Los Angeles, I traveled in Thailand, where I'm back now, during COVID. My plan was to do a whole Southeast Asia trip, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, but the border started to close and I had to go back to the United States. But these are things that I've been like making these jumps and these shifts, because what would the highest version of myself do? She would do it. Like, that's it. And imagine that is without having so much physical support in my life. Imagine. It's amazing when I think about it. I'm so proud of myself. And you can do it as well, Jaylene. What is your advice for people that want to go to Jamaica for body healing? I feel called to go to heal. Alexandria, I love that you have healing in your name. That is it. Talking, speaking exactly what you want to be doing. But let's see. I plan and have been creating wellness retreats for years now. It was not the time, I talked about this in my last live, it was not the time when I was, I'm still based in Jamaica, but when I was there for those 4 years from 2020, but I would recommend my retreats. I would recommend that. But right now, if you just want to go, you should look for the neighborhoods that are going to be supportive for this kind of deep healing and work. So you might want to be in communities that are on the countryside. So I would not recommend like going and living in Kingston and feeling like you're going to get this beautiful transformative experience. You could, but being in the countryside, being in nature, and having access to the rivers, like I was bathing in the river, I was farming with my neighbor Nelly, Avnel, I love you, my good friend, and my neighbors we were trading fruits and things. I had a cranberry tree, mango tree, jackfruit from the other neighbors. Like, this life, like, please, that healing that gets done when you're with nature is a different level. So I would recommend being in a rural countryside area. I lived in St. Thomas, which is a parish in Jamaica. I lived in St. Catherine, another one. I've lived in Kingston or St. Andrew, another one. And I've lived in Portland, another one. Portland and St. Thomas that's where I did my deepest transformative transformational work. So I would recommend that. You want access to the sea. You want to be able to experience the like duck detox, these kind of like detoxes that you can find in the Caribbean and specific to Jamaica, the fruits. Yes, by the third day in Jamaica, you feel a change in your body. When I get off of the plane and the humidity is there, I'm like, yes, I'm home, I'm back. And the sun itself is extremely healing for me personally. I can sit in the sun. Yes, my duck detox video. I can sit in the sun and charge up and not eat. I can get my energy. My body can transition from eating physical food to getting my energy from the sun and the elements. So, how do you shrink fibroids? D, I had surgery once to have it removed, but it grew back and it's now 4 centimeters. I'm 40 now with a 10-year-old. And I do not know if it's safe to have more children at this age. D, there are a few things I would recommend. If you are in a state where you just want maybe free resources, I have years of free resources on YouTube. So years of my knowledge. I have a video specific to how I broke down how I healed my left ovary from hemorrhagic cysts. I fainted. It was an entire process. I have a video on that. I also have how to stop all of your period symptoms. And I have so many other womb wellness videos, hormone balancing videos, how to get plant-based iron. So you can start there. There's a whole playlist. From there, you can also get my womb food healing guide, which is on my Etsy shop. It will be linked in the description box of this video for the replay. It is also in the community post. Everywhere on socials, you will see it linked. And if you just go to Are You Privy on Etsy, you can find my womb food healing guide. That is a great place. You'll see exactly what foods and practices will help you to shrink your cysts and fibroids and eventually clear them out in detox. And after that, if you still feel it's not enough, then you can book a one-on-one session with me. And I just want to say this for some of you who have seen my one-on-one sessions or have participated in them. I did change the price because I was starting to attract people who were paying and then ghosting, which is fine, right? But I want to make sure I'm aligned. Like, these are people who are ready to do the work and, investing in themselves and showing up. So I did alter the price. So I just want to say that for anyone who saw it prior. All right, so I'm seeing questions about sunscreen. Let me tell you something. I want to get into this. Do you ever wear sunscreen while sunbathing? So, there's been so much talk about Black people not needing sunscreen. And there's truth to this, right? We naturally have melanin. It protects you from the sun. But we are not living in this ideal, perfect, natural world and life. There are so many environmental toxins that we experience. I mean, let alone the things we put on our skin. Imagine filling your skin with chemicals and Lubriderm and St. Ives, all of these things, right, that are unnatural and filled with chemicals. Imagine putting that into your largest organ and then going into the sun and thinking, well, I'm melanin, I'm Black, I don't need sunscreen. You will get burnt. And I have even experienced, I see it at different times, levels of dehydration and sun damage, because if I was living, in a way that was not as natural and aligned, the sun is going to cook you up. It is going to cook up them chemicals and toxins in your body. So yes, now I wear sunscreen because I am more vulnerable to sun damage. I wear sunscreen and I do notice a huge difference. I would say find a zinc oxide or something that has been, sorry. Wait, let me wait for it to repause or to go. I would say use a sunscreen that has less toxins. So I'm not sure if Black Girl sunscreen is still around, but that one I didn't even need a moisturizer. It was so great. There are also natural sunscreens, and that's really what I would recommend, but you have to be consistent. So carrot seed oil mixed with rosehip seed oil and unrefined shea butter. Protection from the sun. And this is something that you can continue to apply. I don't wear makeup, so for me it's really easy to bring aloe vera. Aloe vera is also great to protect you from the sun and to heal after. I have a whole leaf in my fridge right now, and I use aloe all the time. What else? So unrefined shea butter, rosehip seed oil, carrot seed oil. There are also herbs you can take, like kalawala, which kalawala, which I have offered in my shop. We sold out like this, but it also helps with UV protection and repigmenting the skin from vitiligo and eczema. That herb is called kalawala fern. So there are herbs that do it naturally, but no, I don't wear sunscreen on my body. I'll have shea butter, rosehip seed oil, and things like I said. But when I don't have access, I'm in Asia, I don't have access to the things that I need, I just have to use some Korean skincare. I just started using this new moisturizer, which it's not my favorite, and everyone raved about it. The Ilyun Ceramide moisturizer, it is just not doing it. I'm a natural girl. I need my shea butter, and I need my rosehip seed oil. So I'm making my way to South America very soon. Yes. All right, if there are no more questions, I need to head to breakfast. Hey Sham, thank you for being here. You're welcome, Dee. Yeah, so I'd recommend aloe vera, shea butter, carrot seed oil. Yeah. Dee, I hope my information about fibroids was helpful. I will be creating, like I said, I have a masterclass coming out where we discuss all of this. So I'm not gonna go into too much detail because you'll see it when it comes out, but I'm so excited to be teaching in a way, that is accessible. Everyone cannot get on a live. Everyone does not have YouTube or social media or, want a digital, to read through a guidebook. A lot of people want to be taught, like this. And so I'm excited to come out with this masterclass. I'm excited for that. And if you want to be updated about it, then sign up for my newsletter. Is tallow food for the skin? I'm not sure what that is. Lulu. You're welcome, Dee. What would be the best vitamin C for your face and for darker inner thighs? Exfoliation is the best for hyperpigmentation. And then also what you're consuming internally. You're probably dehydrated, so hydrate yourself. Oh, you said what? Is tallow good for the skin? What is tallow? I'm not sure even what tallow is. Is it? I'm not sure. Typo. You're welcome, Dee. All right, you all. Yes, I need to go eat and hydrate. I'm so grateful you are all here. You are all here for this live, those of you who are here. And if you are catching the replay, love and respect. Thank you for being here. As always, my links are always down below. I trust that this is going to support you all. Oh, from cow fat, okay. I'm not sure. I trust that this is going to support you all in your beginning your divine feminine energy and journey and tapping into the divine wisdom, the psychic abilities, the knowing, the guidance and the clarity and the power and the innate power that you have. And I hope that you start to look at your menstrual cycle as such a blessing, because it is. And we again have this every month. We get to tap into all of these different energies. So our natural rhythm and seasonal cyclical nature is a gift. It is absolutely a gift. And I hope that you get to experience your period the way I feel mine's are. I look forward to it, like I said. That is my wish for you all. And yes, you can find me wherever you need to find me. all the places, Instagram and everywhere. Love you guys. Bye bye.